Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to the 5th match in this modern competitive league. We're currently 2-2, so hopefully we can salvage this run and get a positive win-loss ratio here in this final round. Let's take a look at our hand here. We're on the draw, unfortunately, and our opponent is keeping 7, but looks like we have Bolt, Mana Leak, Collective Brutality, 2 Thought Scours, and 2 lands. So I would say this is a pretty average hand. We have a lot of interaction against different kinds of decks, so we're going to keep this hand. Basic Island, Aether Vial. So, off the bat, this very quickly looks like Merfolk. We're going to go ahead and shock the Steam Vents and pass, either going Lightning Bolt or Thought Scour at end of turn here. Now, the Merfolk matchup is not easy. They have a lot of cards that can, just go right through us in terms of Island Walk. But sometimes they do keep hands like this, where they have Aether Vial, but no second land. So this can hopefully help us from getting double spelled on some turns. Now the issue here, Spell Snare is going to be kind of a dead card for the rest of the matchup. I'm going to hold on to Collective Brutality because Master of Waves is a card that they play, I think, 4 of, and it's very hard to deal with. So from here, we'll just play this Swamp with the goal of Thought Scouring at the end of turn. Sure. Curse Catcher probably going to come out here, and that's fine. They'll get another counter here. They can play a 2-drop soon. See if they hit their second land. We'll probably get smacked for 1 here. And we're okay with that. Sure. Let's see if our opponent decides to do anything. They could go for the Silver Jill Adept, I think it is. They can draw a card, try to look for a second land. There's a lot of different plays that they can make here. Yep, and that's probably what they're going to do, especially if this is a post-combat Aether Vial activation. Yep. We'll go ahead and draw a card there. They did not hit their second land, so here we have an option. We can either just go Thought Scour. We can also try to clear out this Curse Catcher because it's going to get in the way of our future Terminates or Collective Brutalities. So I think that's actually probably the best line of action from here on out. And then we'll pass. Oh, well, interesting. I think once again we'll just go ahead and pass the turn. We're getting, a bit. We're full of removal. Very little actual threats to clog up the board here. Looks like they might flash in like a Lord at end of turn here. But they choose not to, so we'll just go ahead and terminate it right now. And here we get another land. Another blue source is actually really important. It's going to let us keep up Terminate while letting us Serum Visions here to try to look for a way to close out this game. Now the question is, do we want more lands? I think the answer is no. So we'll go ahead and bottom both of these. Lightning Bolt is great. And like I said, we're going to save this Collective Brutality. Unfortunately, I meant to terminate that at end of turn. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Sure, they get to maybe tick up their Aether Vial to 3. My guess is not, because they're stocked with 2-mana threats. Spreading Seas, interesting. So they cut us off red, which is frustrating. And would have been nice to have Spell Snare up for that. So that might have been an argument. Just take the 2 damage. Fatal Push, however, is a great card in this matchup. We'll go ahead and just pass the turn here. There's no reason to rush into anything. Second land is pretty good for them. Sure, we'll see what they flash in here. That's weird because I thought we had a stop at end of turn there, but maybe we don't. Right after they get to flash something, and I thought we get priority back. So we're gonna go ahead and just Fatal Push this. No need to take unnecessary damage here. If they want to go for a hard cast of a 2-drop, that's probably definitely a mistake if they go ahead and do that. But they might just be so jammed on spells that they're trying to unload as fast as they can, because they still have 6 cards. Those lords are very strong, and things can get out of hand very quick. There's an argument to just mana leaking here, because what else are we going to mana leak? Yeah, mana leak could be pretty dead pretty soon. So we'll go ahead and Thought Scour main phase here. And we get another land. Unfortunately, we are lacking on threats pretty hard right now. This is the position usually where we land a Tasigur and go to town. So, I think, have we ditched our mountain already? No mountain. So, in case we need to fetch a basic mountain, let's go ahead and throw Scalding Tarn out there. We're going to say just okay to this lord here. And we're hoping that they go for something like Spreading Seas again. I'm going to say okay. We'll take the damage in case they want to flash something in. They say no. This is a game that we can play because we have time. We'll go ahead and Spell Snare that because we have very few Spell Snare threats, targets in these matchups. We'll go ahead and get a basic mountain to preserve life total. And this is the point where we're kind of running on empty. Fatal Push, however, it's a great draw. We'll go ahead and play the land. Having 2 red swords in case of another Spreading Seas. Lord of Atlantis is fine. We can Fatal Push that. Snapcaster Mage would be a great draw at this point. Just something to get us on the board, get us some more value. Any sort of threat here. Something to continue the card advantage train going. I'm going to go ahead and Fatal Push that right now. I don't want to go too low below 10. Curse Catcher is fine. Electrolyze, great card. So there's an argument here to just Collective Brutality on the Curse Catcher. Just get it out of the way. But like I said, I like Collective Brutality as an answer to Master of Waves. Here they'll flash something in. And we'll say okay. We are not too scared of what our opponent could jam out here. We just want to they're going to go ahead to declare attackers. Yep, Mutavault is up and active. Interesting. So we may have wanted to electrolyze this because now they could bring in a Lord that will pump this, and we could be in a really bad position if they have another Miro Regery. Yeah. Yep, this is exactly what I was worried about. So we're taking a lot of damage here. Thankfully, we had a great draw off the Electrolyze. And that saved us a lot of damage in the long run. Don't try that at home, though. That is a pretty bad play. So here we could Fatal Push, and then have Snap Fatal Push for later. But like I said, we could Collective Brutality here, get rid of the Curse Catcher, and then but we could also... The issue is Curse Catcher is stopping us from going Snap Kolaghan's Command. Because it can counter it. So the question is, are we afraid of getting smacked for a lot of damage on the next turn? Like Lord, Mutavault, Swing. I think we're just going to go for the value play, though. And this still leaves us Snap Bolt or Snap Push. In case our opponent does something, crazy on the next turn. But Snapcaster is just the kind of draw that we wanted to see. And hopefully they don't take this up to 4. Yeah, they ticked it up to 4, so... Master of Waves is a real problem. And another Curse Catcher is definitely annoying. Watergrave is interesting. I think we'll go ahead and shock it into play. This leaves us with the ability to snap Kolaghan's Command. Interesting. So they didn't go for the Master of Waves. Alright, they have a third land. They could have preemptively done this. Lord of Atlantis. Interesting that they cast it. I think this is okay, actually. Because now they're going to attack here. We say, alright, let's get in Snapcaster Mage. We'll target Kolaghan's Command. And then we'll say, okay, we will play Kolaghan's Command to return target creature from our graveyard to our hand and deal 2 damage to our creature or player. So we're going to get rid of this Lord of Atlantis and return Snapcaster Mage. And the reason we do this is that so we can block the Curse Catcher. And then still have a Snapcaster Mage in the graveyard to deal with a potential Master of Waves. And we do want to get rid of this Curse Catcher just because it stops us from double spelling, and it's just a 2-for-1 that we can grab here. Alright. Here, let's just play the island, pass. The more mana that we have, the more potential, like we said, we have to double spell. And it looks like they don't have Master of Waves, which is really good for us. They run out Mutavault here, play another island, and they go ahead and attack. Here I actually like going Snapcaster Mage Electrolyze. This will just let us keep the cards flowing. Like I said, another 2-for-1 that we can grab here. If we had another Kolaghan's Command, that would be great, but, we don't. Alright, we'll go Electrolyze here. 1. Oh, yes. All damage going there. And we know we're safe because they don't really have Spell Pierce. We're insulated from. They go Shore, Master of Waves. Oh, right. Mutavault is any creature type. So that is a very, very heads-up play by our opponent. We'll go ahead and block here. Just to get that off the board. Now our opponent has 0 cards in their hand. We could use some nice draws here. Unfortunately, Spire Bluffs is not one of them. So we tried to eke out as much value out of our cards, but there's really nothing you can do against Flood. We have 8 lands in play in a 19 land deck. And our opponent going for the all-out attack here. We are down to 1 life. Yeah, Miro Reejery could have, gotten us for lethal. So that's, and another land. So that's absolutely nothing we can do against that. That is just completely bad luck. To the sideboard, another Collective Brutality as a great answer to Master of Waves. We'll go ahead and Izzet Static Caster because it can still deal with the tokens, leaving the Master just to be 2-1, basically. And then we can go for Engineer Explosives. Now, Spell Pierce is going to be very dead this matchup. Spell Snare, also kind of bad. Mana Leak, also kind of bad. So we really want to shave on most of our counters here. And the question is, what is more versatile, Mana Leak or Spell Snare? And I think on the play, we want to cut Spell Snare. And on the draw, we want to cut Mana Leak. But I think that's the configuration we're going to go for Game 2 here. I think we have a great matchup against Merfolk, but we just got severely flooded that game. So yes, we would like to play first. Our hand is a bit slow. Once again, we have 4 lands. I honestly think we can do better. So we'll go ahead and mulligan. This is not my idea of better. Yeah, we have Fatal Push. Yeah, we have Engineer Explosives to deal with like an Aether Vial. So maybe we can keep. We can't really keep Delver of Secrets. We'll go ahead and Engineer Explosives for 1 to preemptively deal with Aether Vials. But we really need to chain some lands here. That first hand was just too slow. We weren't playing anything until turn 3. So that's why we're running out this engineer. We're running out the Engineer Explosive to get ahead of our opponent's potential Aether Vial plays. Yep, that's an Aether Vial. And we're stuck on 1 land. So this feels pretty bad, especially if they can Curse Catcher and something in to negate our Fatal Push, basically. Yep, Silvergel Adept is fine. That's a Blood Crypt. We'll go ahead and shock that. We'll play Young Pyromancer. Now, the reason we want to play Young Pyromancer is because I don't think we're going to get too blown out in this turn. And we also don't want to just do nothing and pass. We want to start developing our board and maybe going for the double spell next turn in Bolt and Fatal Push. We don't really want to remove Silvergel Adept because it's not the card we want to deal with. Especially if we start to get some elemental tokens and we sort of cut them off of their Island Walkers. So I think there's definitely a way to trap our opponent in combat soon. But we just got to be careful on how we play this. Mutavault is definitely annoying. And as a Spreading Seas would also be very annoying on our Blood Crypt. That would cut us off both of our bolts. Alright, another Silver Adept. So it looks like they're just chaining them. And a Dismember. See, that's really frustrating because that was our way to basically get back in this game, generate a bunch of card advantage. And hopefully we don't get smacked for too much here. They don't flash in a Lord here, which is interesting. But we know they have another Silver Adept. Drawing another Snapcaster when we're cut off of blue mana is really rough. And we'll see what they do here. They'll flash in the Adept. We're just going to have to say okay. These 2/1s that are getting a lot of value. It's exactly what they want to be doing against us, just taxing our removal. And I think we'll be forced to do something right now. The Spreading Seas, yeah. Well, we're gonna just be forced to use up the Lightning Bolt while we can. And then they could flash in a Lord here, but they don't even have to. Another Mutavault is really tough. We'll say okay. We'll say okay again. Because we're just afraid that they'll flash in a Lord here. But now, end of turn, we'll go ahead and cast it. Because it looks like they're not playing a Lord right now. And a Delver of Secrets is a interesting draw. It'll actually get blown up by our own Engineer Explosives here. And we're getting close to pretty dead here. And this is pretty unfortunate because last game we flood, this game we're mana screwed. So it's hard to say if we should have played it any differently. It doesn't look like we're going to be winning from this position though. They had the exact tools to beat us. It's possible that our earlier hand might have been a lot better. You know, Electrolyze would have cleanly answered those Silver Adepts. But looks like they have 6, 9, 11 damage here. Possibly more. All with Island Walk. We'll go ahead and say okay. And my guess is they'll flash in the kill here. Because that's the correct play. But instead we go down to 1 with very few outs from this position. Any land is cut off now. Fetch land, any shock land we can't play. We'll go ahead and blow up the Engineer Explosives right now. Darksix Shores is an interesting draw. The thing is, we're at 1 and they have 4 attackers, and so this is just a little late. We have the snap push. But if for some reason they don't go all in here, then we'll get them. But my guess is there's no reason they shouldn't go all in with all that mana. And now we're forced to make a play right now. But we'll go ahead and target Fatal Push. Now the thing with Relic of Progenitus, they can't, you know, exile the graveyards in response to the Fatal Push. But they should see pretty clearly here. Yep, they activate Mutavault. Activate Mutavault. So if we'd seen that land a turn sooner, we might have had a chance this game. We'll go ahead and cast with Flashback. We'll act like we can do something. We obviously can't. And we're dead. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. That was an unfortunate last game to watch, just because we got sort of the unlucky end in both games. You know, we got flooded the first game, mana screwed the second game. That could have been my fault in that last game there. It was a respectable keep, that first one. It was three spells, 4 lands, but I just didn't think that it produced enough pressure against Merfolk. Um, but yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully this video helped you learn a bit about Grixis Delver and its position in the current meta. So yeah, thanks for watching, and tune in next time. Alright, I just want to go over some closing statements with the deck now. Talk about how it performed, how it felt, how the specific list felt to play. I will go over some of the changes that I would probably make in future Delver lists, and how the deck felt overall in the metagame. So let's just talk about things we liked first. I really liked Young Pyromancer. Even though we only saw it in a few games there, the games where it survived and we could capitalize on its value, it took over the game, basically. We saw that against, I think, was it against Bank Company? It got a bit of value against Jun. Now we ended up losing that game, but, we got, 4 tokens off of it, and we're able to make some favorable trades on the board. So overall, I do like Young Pyromancer in the lists. It does help the long game power as well as just the explosiveness of the deck as well. So it kind of fits both roles, which is what I really like. I really like Kolaghan's Command, and I know lists mostly play 2, but I would arguably play 3. I think it's one of the best cards in terms of grindability. Even with that said, I did like Electrolyze a lot too. But Kolaghan's Command might just be the better 3 mana grind sort of card. It just does a lot of things that we want. It deals 2 damage, it returns our threats, it discards card, destroys artifacts, just a lot of these relevant modes that I think could have helped a lot seeing more copies of this card in some of our games. I really enjoyed Mana Leak. I think it's a very good card right now. 2 mana counter almost anything basically is really strong, both against aggressive decks and even decks that go bigger. I didn't like Spell Pierce so much. Now we saw it maybe one or 2 games there. It countered Expedition Map, and of course maybe if we had a threat to continue applying pressure, it might have felt better. But overall, it just feels like a horrible late game draw, and might be better suited as a card for the sideboard even. But the only matchup where we really liked it even was Infect, I think, and that matchup is already pretty favorable. So I'm not sure Spell Pierce is where we want to be. The third Fatal Push was just really good. In the matchups where we wanted Fatal Push, we wanted 4 even. Against Bank Company, against Jun, against Infect, against Merfolk. So I think there's really an argument to running more and siding them out in the matchups where they're bad, like Tron or Eldrazi or Valakut, the control decks. And they're not even always dead in those matchups. So I really like Fatal Push and how it's positioned. Maybe 3-1 Fatal Push Murderous Cut might be the right call. But this deck really needs some more hard removal to deal with big threats that are out of bolt range, in my opinion. Delver of Secrets felt really underwhelming. I'm not sure if it's the spell count or what, or variance, but it rarely flipped. And yeah, the games where it turn 1, turn 2 flipped, it was really strong, but there were some games where it just, fell really flat, and was dealing 1 damage, 3 damage over 3 turns, and that's really bad numbers for a 1-drop. I'd much rather have like a Goblin Guide over that. So I'm not sure if it's Delver's position right now, some bad luck, because we did go 4-1 with it in another Modern Competitive League, and now we went 2-3. So of course there's going to be variance, there's going to be good and bad matchups, but I definitely think that we could maybe fix the deck up a bit to be better, because I felt like in the long run we would either flood, and so Jun could go above us, and in the early game we also get stuck on mana because we're only running 19 lands, so the deck needs to be able to operate on 2 or 3 lands, and we just don't do that sometimes, and then we just act like a bad Grixis control deck. So while we do have that clock in the form of Delver of Secrets, a lot of the combo decks they have ways to deal with it. And even Eldrazi-tron, a deck that we thought Delver of Secrets was going to be great against, they have Warping Wail, they have Dismember. So it's not as great of a card as we think it is, and then we're just down 1 card, and we're not able to answer their threats So I definitely think I'm not sure how great Delver is positioned right now with all of this removal, all of these big decks. Fulminator Mage fell flat. It didn't really punish the greedy mana-based decks, didn't punish the land-based decks. It's just too slow. So Crumble to Dust might be the way to go with counter backup until we can get to Crumble. But like we said, we're only running 19 lands, so running a 4-mana win the game against big mana decks is good, but it's not necessarily feasible. Overall, I do like where the sideboard is. I think it's a good sideboard for the meta right now. I'm interested in changing these Fulminators for Molten Rains. I'm interested in playing around with the land setup, the counterspell suite. So I think it's a good deck, but I'm not happy about where it is in the meta right now, and it could just take more practice. It felt really good against the linear decks, and then it still felt really bad against the less linear decks. And there's a lot of those less linear decks in the format right now. And even against linear decks, it requires really tight play. So I'm not convinced Grixis Delver is where we want to be in the meta necessarily. But I'm going to keep try to make it work. Maybe try out Grixis Control in the next video, or maybe some sort of Jeskai deck, which is what I'm more familiar with. But we've got options ahead of us. We'll see what we decide on. Maybe try this deck in another couple more modern competitive leagues. And I'll try to bring some more content to you guys in the next week or so. So thanks for watching. Thanks for staying tuned. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. That way you can get some more content to you when it comes out. So thank you very much, and see you next time.